Jack Thunder and the Dawn of Unity. Chapter 8. An Old Nemesis. Jack Thunder awoke to Razor laying on his chest. The little weather wyvern snored without a care in the world. The storm gremlin didn't want to disturb him, but eventually he had no choice. "Sorry, buddy, I gotta get up." Razor stood up and stretched as Jack Thunder sat up. The wyvern yawned and stretched before curling up once more at the end of Jack Thunder's bed. By all accounts, it should have been just another peaceful morning on Tempest Island. But Jack Thunder couldn't get yesterday out of his head. Was Twitchett really working with Miss Butternut, the infamous leader of the Anti-Humanist League? He peered over his bed to see Stephanie sleeping beside him in a sleeping bag. She didn't seem too worried. Probably still thought this was all some big game. He hated to think of what her family was going through. Time didn't flow on Altairus like it did on Earth. She had likely been missing for many days back there. "Jackie? Stephanie? Come on out. Breakfast will be ready in 10 minutes. Well, enough of that. Jack Thunder leapt out of bed, ready to start his day. Stephanie rose from her slumber and followed him. San shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Are you sure it was Twitchett?" Jack Thunder nodded while shoving another spoonful of eggs into his mouth. The Tengu snorted. That old Tom just didn't know when to quit. It had been, 20 years, and he was still trying to get one over on Strombolio? How miserable could one Nekomata be? What would Twitchett want with that Miss Butternut anyway? Stephanie questioned. San didn't know the answer to that question, but he did know one thing. It was far too dangerous for Stephanie to venture farther than Tempest Island right now. There were a number of beings in Altairus who weren't exactly friendly with humans, and now some of them knew of the stranger in their strange world. "Listen, Jack." Jack Thunder's ears perked up. "Why don't you show Stephanie around Tempest Island? You can show her where you gather your crystals for your spells." Jack Thunder's face brightened. That sounded like a good idea. He waited for Stephanie to finish before they both hopped up from the table. San watched as they disappeared out the door. A memory scratched the back of his mind. Miss Butternut. That name belonged to one ugly face he'd seen in the news just before he'd fled for the Razor Frost Range. She'd given a speech to the summer and winter courts of Altairus, convincing them to close the portals between Altairus and Earth after the war. He hadn't exactly approved of the language she'd used when speaking about the humans, but he'd brushed it off as nothing. Anima knew he was just as jumpy as everyone else after what had happened. He didn't bat an eye when the portals were sealed either. Looking back, maybe he should have spoken up about it. He met Frosty's eyes. She nodded in solidarity. The past was over and done with. What was important now was keeping an eye on Jack and Stephanie, and figuring out what was going on with Twitchett and Miss Butternut. San stepped outside, stretching his wings. With a leap, he burst forth into the thick blanket of clouds, diving past the peak of Mount Tempest and arcing down towards the nursery rhyme district. He would not stay silent anymore. "Here we are." Stephanie blinked. She'd seen this mountain when the portal spit her out, but she hadn't gotten a good look at the air crystals that sprinkled the ground. They were like sparkling sand, faintly glowing aqua blue through the mist. "This is where I come to collect air crystals. I actually found Stormbringer here when I was looking for some. Just saw this eerie green glow coming from that cave over there." Jack Thunder pointed towards a deep cavern in the side of the mountain. "Ah, sweet." Stephanie didn't pay much attention. She was more focused on gathering the gemstones that littered the mountainside. Maybe when they got home, Jack Thunder would teach her some spells. Then she might stand more of a chance in battle. Stephanie shook her head. In every other game she played, She would breeze through whatever challenges she came across without even trying. But so far, she'd already gone through one boss battle without doing anything useful. She assumed the thing with Twitchit was a boss battle anyway. What else could it have been? She sighed. This game was going to test her, whether she wanted it to or not. As soon as she had that thought, the air dropped a few degrees. She shivered. She didn't even have any winter gear. How was she supposed to get through this? Hey, was that big gray spot there before? The air crystals on the left side of the mountain seemed to have lost their color. Even the rocks below were bleached. Stephanie jumped. The low hum coming from Stormbringer had caught her off guard. The gemstone in the center was flashing a menacing green. Jack Thunder gripped it with both hands, his expression twisting. Wendigo. He thrust the points forward, creeping towards the muted spot on the mountain. As the two approached, Stormbringer's pulse quickened. Stephanie's stomach twisted. She was really gonna do this? Face down a Wendigo with no experience? What kind of game was this? Jack, what's... Stephanie stopped. Sure enough, this was a Wendigo. It lay motionless in the middle of a discolored spot in the foothills. It turned its head up, revealing a face like a goat skull with a fanged mouth. Its eyes glowed a faint, rusty brown as it stared weakly at the storm gremlin. Nemesis! Jack Thunder charged toward the Wendigo, his staff crackling with electricity. No, wait, stop! I'm not here to hurt you! Nemesis tried to shield its face with a claw. What are you doing showing your face here again? Jack Thunder barked. Stormbringer trembled in his hands. You don't understand. They kicked me out. Malefic... Nemesis's words trailed off as exhaustion and anima hunger overtook it. It clutched at its abdomen. Jack Thunder's shoulders relaxed. He couldn't help but feel some pity for the Wendigo in front of him. Sure, it was a demon that drained the essence of life from wherever it had the misfortune of going, but he remembered how it helped him and his friends find the last fragment of anima. Stormbringer glowed with a soft white light, and a small orb of rainbow light made its way towards Nemesis. As it phased into the Wendigo's form and dissipated, Nemesis seemed to relax. Relief crossed its deathly face as it made its way to its feet. Why did you... Don't mention it, Jack Thunder interrupted. Now, what's all this about Malefic? Nemesis's face darkened more than usual. The flip side has been in chaos ever since you and your friends restored the heart of Altairus. Without their leader, the Wendigos have all been scrambling to claim the throne. General Malefic was always jealous of me. It resented that the Heart of Darkness had favored me over it. After I helped you, things just got so much worse. I think Malefic was just waiting for an opportunity to spring on me. The others banished me from the flip side. Now I'm here, completely at your mercy. Nemesis's head drooped. Jack Thunder lowered his staff, holding it at his side. Stephanie ran up to him. Jack, what's going on here? Is that Wendigo... She halted dead in her tracks. Wasn't it supposed to be attacking? It was just standing there. The storm gremlin wasn't sure what to think. The Wendigos kicked one of their own out of the flip side? He guessed that they would be mad about Nemesis betraying them, but why cast it out here? Wouldn't that have been a good thing for a Wendigo? Well, in any case, Nemesis would be helpful to keep around. Stormbringer flashed white again, and glowing chains wrapped themselves around the Wendigo's form. Nemesis didn't scream, nor did it protest as the binding spell took hold. This should keep you under wraps until I figure out what's going on, Jack Thunder thought. He picked up his sack full of air crystals before heading back to the village. He had a few letters to write.